Hey everyone, and welcome back. It feels like AI is everywhere these days, right? Like every time I turn around, there's some crazy new headline about it.
Yeah, it's definitely moving fast.
So we're doing a deep dive today into that world, specifically how AI is changing things up, especially when it comes to jobs.
Lots to talk about there, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've got this Bloomberg Technology podcast episode that paints a pretty intense picture, an article about Elon Musk and all of his, well, ambitious ideas, you could say.
Yeah.
And another one that breaks down what skills will be like the hot new thing in this whole AI world.
Which is, I think, a really important thing for people to be thinking about right now. Like, what does this actually mean for all of us?
Totally. So maybe a good place to start is that World Economic Forum report that we've got.
Okay, yeah.
They're predicting that by 2025, AI will have gotten rid of like 92 million jobs.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
92 million jobs displaced because of AI. But the report also says that something like 170 million new jobs will be created.
So it's not like total job annihilation.
Yeah. No, not at all. Think of it more like a major reshuffling.
Right. Okay, so some jobs disappear, some new ones pop up.
Exactly. And it's important to note that we're not just talking about, like, robots taking over factory jobs here. AI is starting to impact white-collar work, too.
That's a little unsettling, to be honest.
I get that. It's a big change.
One of the articles we've got uses this example of an acrobat, saying that's a job that's probably safe.
Yeah.
It got me thinking, what makes a job really and truly AI-proof?
That's a really interesting question. And, the acrobat's a really good example. It's a job that needs human creativity, that in-the-moment improvisation.
You can't program that.
Right. And also, it's about that connection with a live audience, things that AI, at least for now, can't really replicate.
So it's less about, like, the specific job itself and more about the skills that you need to do it.
I think that's a great way to put it. Like, if your job involves doing the same thing over and over, or if it's very rule-based, those are the jobs that are most at risk. But if your work needs critical thinking, emotional intelligence,
Right.
complex problem solving, that's where we humans still have the upper hand, at least for now.
So it's about figuring out what makes us uniquely human and getting really good at those things.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our strengths and then doubling down on them. And also being open to learning and adapting. Because the jobs of the future, they're going to look really different from the jobs of today.
And the people who thrive will be the ones who can roll with those punches.
Exactly. People who can adapt, be flexible, learn new things.
Speaking of adapting, one thing that caught my eye was Apple making a big move in China.
Oh, yeah. Their partnership with Alibaba.
Right, to get AI into iPhones over there.
Yeah. It's a really interesting move, especially considering that their iPhone sales in China have actually been going down.
They definitely want to turn that around.
For sure. The Chinese market makes up a huge chunk of Apple's revenue. We're talking about 17%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so this partnership is definitely strategic. They're trying to, climb back up in a major market.
But it seems pretty risky too, right?
It does have its risks, absolutely.
We've got an analysis here from Ryan West, and he highlights some of those potential, downsides. Trade tensions are still a thing.
Yep.
There are all those regulatory issues they've got to navigate.
For sure.
And then you've got the whole, data privacy situation in China. It's a whole different ball game than what we're used to in the U.S.
Totally. So, yeah, this partnership could be a big win for Apple, but there's a lot that could go wrong, too.
It's a gamble, for sure.
It is. And I think it's also a really interesting example of how AI is becoming more and more a part of our everyday lives.
Yeah, it's not just some abstract concept anymore. It's in our phones.
It's everywhere, yeah.
Okay, so speaking of big tech ventures, can we talk about Elon Musk?
Oh, got to talk about Elon.
The man has his fingers in so many pies.
Right.
Tunnels, electric cars. He even wants to colonize Mars.
He's not afraid to think big, that's for sure. And what's interesting is how all of these different things he's working on, they're all kind of connected in a way.
Okay, I can see that. They all feed into this vision he has of the future.
Exactly. This future that's all about technology, sustainability. Let's start with this tunnel project he's got going on in L.A. with the Boring Company.
The Boring Company, yeah.
His idea is to build this whole 3D network of tunnels underneath the city.
Okay, so less traffic jams.
That's the idea. He's arguing that tunnels make more sense than, say, flying cars, which, let's be honest.
Must be kind of terrifying.
Oh, think about all the noise, the safety hazards.
No thanks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So Musk's whole vision with the tunnels, it's about creating transportation systems that are efficient and sustainable. You have multiple levels. You can control the environment inside.
You're basically building a whole other city, but underground.
Exactly. And it sounds a little sci-fi, I know.
A little.
But then again, a lot of Musk's ideas sound like that at first.
True.
But he's a visionary. He really is. And he's having a huge impact on the tech world. There's no doubt about that.
And all of this ties back to AI too, right?
Absolutely. Especially when you consider his work with Tesla. Self-driving cars are a key part of his vision for the future of transportation.
And he's claiming that Tesla's going to have full autonomy by the end of the year, which, I don't know.
It's a bold claim, that's for sure. I mean, level 5 autonomy, which means a car can drive itself in absolutely any situation without a human needing to step in. That's really complex.
Yeah, that's a lot of different things a car has to be able to handle.
It is. Think about weather conditions, unexpected obstacles, figuring out what other drivers are doing, or pedestrians.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, how to anticipate what a human is going to do.
Exactly. So, yeah, there's still a lot of technical hurdles, not to mention all the legal and ethical stuff that needs to be sorted out.
So maybe a Tesla road trip with no one behind the wheel is still a little ways off.
It might be, yeah.
Yeah.
But even if Tesla doesn't hit that target this year, their work on autonomous driving is pushing the boundaries of AI. And it's going to shape the future of how we get around, whether it happens this year or a few years down the line.
Okay, so that's the, I guess, more futuristic side of things. But what about the jobs that AI is creating right now? The World Economic Forum report laid out 5 categories, and I'd love to hear your take on those.
Sure, yeah. So first up, you've got the people who are actually building and refining the AI itself, right? The AI and automation specialists, think AI trainers, ethicists who are trying to figure out all the moral and ethical implications of this stuff, and engineers who are designing and building the systems.
So these are the people on the front lines, the ones making the AI revolution happen.
Exactly. They're the pioneers. Then you've got what I like to call the data wranglers, the big data and AI analysts. Their job is to make sense of all the data that AI needs to function.
Oh, right, because AI needs tons of data, doesn't it?
It does. Tons of it. And someone needs to make sure the data is clean, organized, usable. So you've got your data governance specialists, your business intelligence analysts. They're like the detectives of the digital world, trying to find patterns and insights hidden within all that data.
I like that, data detectives.
Right. Then, and this is something that's only becoming more important as we become more and more reliant on technology, you have cybersecurity.
Of course, yeah.
Because as we create more and more complex systems, we need people who can protect those systems from attack.
So basically, the more AI we have, the more we need to worry about cybersecurity.
It's a bit of an arms race.
Yeah.
But instead of weapons, we're building better defenses against cyber attacks, and AI itself is actually playing a role in that too.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got the AI builders, the data detectives, and the cyber defenders. What are the other 2 categories the report talks about?
Right. Well, as we're all becoming more aware of climate change and the need to do something about it, the demand for green energy and sustainability experts is growing like crazy. These are the folks who are working on renewable energy solutions, optimizing energy grids, figuring out how to reduce our impact on the planet.
And AI plays a role in that, too.
Absolutely. AI is being used to model complex systems, predict future trends. It's a really powerful tool for helping us figure out how to live more sustainably.
That's amazing. It really shows how AI can be applied to all kinds of different fields.
It really does. And then the last category is, well, the creatives, the experienced designers. These are the people who make sure that all this technology is actually usable and enjoyable for humans.
So even in this high-tech future, there's still a place for human creativity and artistry.
Absolutely. I mean, AI might be able to churn out 1,000 generic logos or write a basic blog post, but it takes a human to really understand a brand or a message and create something that truly connects with people on an emotional level.
That's a good point.
So if your job involves understanding what people need and coming up with creative solutions to meet those needs, you're in a pretty good spot. Those uniquely human skills, they're going to be more valuable than ever.
I like that. It's not just about what you do, it's about how you approach it. Like, you need to be willing to constantly learn new things, try new tools, adapt.
Exactly. It's about having a growth mindset. That's what the articles really emphasize. And I think that's good advice for anyone, no matter what field they're in.
So the takeaway here is, don't be scared of AI.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Be curious about it, figure out how it can work for you, and make sure you're developing those uniquely human skills that AI can't replace.
Exactly. It's about working with AI. not against it.
Love that. And that actually leads perfectly into what we're talking about next. We've got this whole conversation about the jobs that are being created and the jobs that are disappearing. But there's one really big piece we haven't talked about yet, and that's education.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Because education is how we prepare people for this new world, right? So let's dig into that next. We'll explore how schools and universities are adapting to this AI revolution and what they're doing to get students ready for the jobs of tomorrow.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
You mentioned ripple effects, and it's true, like this partnership is about way more than just phones. What could this mean for AI in China as a whole?
Well, you got to think about how big the Chinese market is. I mean, massive, right?
Huge.
And Apple and Alibaba, they're both giants in their own right. So when they team up like this, it's going to have a huge impact.
No doubt.
We could see a ton of new AI-powered apps popping up that are specifically for Chinese consumers.
What kinds of apps?
Oh, everything. Personalized shopping experiences, like way more advanced than what we have now. Language translation tools that are super accurate. Possibilities are kind of endless.
It's like it opens up this whole new world of AI development.
Exactly. And it's not just about the apps themselves. Think about the research and development side of things. This partnership could lead to a lot more investment in AI innovation in China.
Which could put China at the forefront of the global AI scene.
Exactly. It's definitely something to watch.
Okay, so that's the potential upside. But what about the flip side? You mentioned data privacy earlier, and that's a big deal, especially in China.
It is, and it's something we need to be talking about. China has a very different approach to data privacy than, say, Europe or the U.S.
For sure.
So there are definitely valid concerns about how user data will be handled in this partnership. Like, how is that data being collected? Where is it being stored? Who have access to it?
It raises a lot of questions about, like, the trade-offs between pushing innovation forward and protecting individual rights.
It does. It's a tricky balance.
It feels like we're in uncharted territory here, with AI evolving so fast and these massive tech companies making these big power moves.
It's a bit of a Wild West, for sure. And it's more important than ever to be having these conversations about the ethical side of AI, not just the technological advancements.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get back to Elon Musk for a minute. His whole vision for Tesla, it goes way beyond just building cool electric cars, right? He wants to, totally revolutionize transportation.
He does.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how his different companies, like Tesla and the Boring Company, all seem to be working towards this bigger vision he has.
It's like he's building this whole interconnected ecosystem.
I like that. An ecosystem. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And Tesla is a big part of that ecosystem. Their electric vehicles, the advancements they've made.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable. And they're not just focused on luxury cars anymore.
Right. The Model 3 is more affordable.
Exactly. It's opened up electric vehicles to a whole new market.
Okay.
And then you have the Tesla Semi, which is targeting the trucking industry.
Which is a huge industry.
Massive. And Musk is betting that electric trucks will be the future of long-haul trucking.
Right.
More efficient, more sustainable.
And then, of course, you've got the whole self-driving thing. Full autonomy by the end of the year. That's what he's claiming. Do you think that's realistic?
It's ambitious, that's for sure. Level 5 autonomy, which means a car can handle any driving situation without a human driver at all. That's incredibly complex. There's a lot that needs to happen before we get there.
Yeah, like what?
Well, the technology itself still needs work. And then there's the whole legal and ethical side of things, like who's responsible if a self-driving car gets into an accident? How do we make sure these systems are safe and reliable?
So maybe we shouldn't expect to see self-driving Teslas everywhere just yet.
Probably not. But even if that specific timeline is off, the work that Tesla is doing is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI. It's going to have a huge impact on the future of transportation, one way or another.
It's exciting, but it's also a little scary. Like, what happens to all the truck drivers, taxi drivers, delivery drivers, all those jobs that depend on human drivers?
Yeah, that's a real concern. It's something we need to be thinking about and talking about.
Because those are a lot of jobs.
They are. And it goes back to that whole conversation we were having about how AI is going to change the job market. Some jobs are going to disappear. There's no question about that. But new jobs will emerge, too.
Right. It's about being ready for that shift.
Exactly. It's about understanding the trends, figuring out what skills will be in demand, and making sure you're prepared. And I think Musk himself is taking that approach, too, if you look beyond just the electric vehicles.
Like with the solar roof tiles and the gigafactory.
Exactly. The solar roof tiles, I mean, they're brilliant. They blend right in with a regular roof, so people are more likely to adopt them.
It makes solar energy more appealing, less of an eyesore.
Right. And then the gigafactory, this massive battery production facility, That's essential for scaling up electric vehicle production and making them more affordable. Musk has even said we need 100 gigafactories to fully transition the world to sustainable energy.
100. That's just, I can't even wrap my head around that.
It's a huge number, but it shows how serious he is about this. He's really trying to tackle these big global challenges.
Okay, so we've talked about AI, Apple's move in China, Elon Musk's vision for the future. But what does all this mean for, like, the average person? What are the key takeaways here?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that things are changing, and they're changing fast. AI, new technologies, they're disrupting everything. And global challenges like climate change, they're forcing us to come up with new solutions.
So we can't just ignore it and hope it goes away.
Nope. The best approach is to embrace the change, stay informed, and learn the skills you need to thrive in this new world.
That sounds good in theory, but it can also feel kind of overwhelming. Like, where do you even start?
Yeah, it's fair. There's a lot to take in, but one really practical thing you can do is start thinking about how you can use AI in your own work. Like, what are the tasks you do that are repetitive that maybe could be automated?
So it's not about being replaced by AI. It's about using AI to free up your time so you can focus on more strategic things or things that require more creativity.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder. AI can handle the mundane stuff, and you can focus on the things that require those uniquely human skills.
I like that. What else?
Networking is huge. Building relationships with people in your field, finding mentors, attending industry events, joining online communities, that's how you stay ahead of the curve and learn from others who are grappling with these same challenges.
Stay connected.
Yeah. And most importantly, have a growth mindset. Be open to new ideas, new ways of doing things. Don't be afraid to experiment and learn from your mistakes. The future belongs to the people who are willing to adapt and evolve.
That's inspiring. It's about seeing all of this as an opportunity, not a threat.
Exactly. The future isn't something that just happens to us. We create the future through the choices we make today.
That's a great point. And it's a perfect segue to what we're talking about next. We've talked about the jobs that are being created and the jobs that are disappearing, but there's one crucial element we haven't discussed yet: education.
You're right. We need to talk about how education is changing to prepare people for this new AI-powered world.
So let's dive into that in our next segment. We'll explore how schools and universities are adapting to the rise of AI and what steps they're taking to prepare students for the jobs of tomorrow. So we've been talking about how AI is changing pretty much everything, and it makes me wonder, are schools keeping up? Like, are they actually preparing students for a future where AI is, everywhere?
It's a really important question. And I think the good news is that a lot of schools and universities, they're starting to take this seriously. We're seeing some big changes in what they're teaching and how they're teaching it.
Okay, so what's changing? Give us the details.
Well, one big thing is a much stronger focus on STEM, education, science, technology, engineering, and math.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, these are the fields that are really fundamental to understanding and working with AI.
Right.
But it's not just about crunching numbers and writing code. There's this growing understanding that what they call soft skills, those are important too in this new world.
Soft skills, what does that even mean?
Things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, all the stuff that makes us human, basically.
The stuff that AI can't do.
Exactly. Because as AI gets better at doing those routine tasks, it's our ability to think creatively, critically, to collaborate with others. Those are the things that will be most valuable.
So how do you even teach that stuff?
It's a good question. And it definitely requires some different approaches than, traditional teaching methods. But we're seeing schools try some really cool stuff.
Like what?
Well, project-based learning is becoming more popular.
Oh, right, where students work on a project together.
Yeah, they get together in teams and they have to solve a real-world problem.
I can see how that would be helpful.
It is. It helps them develop those critical thinking skills, those teamwork skills, and they get to actually apply what they're learning, which I think is really important.
Totally. It's so much better than just reading about something in a textbook.
It is. And what's really interesting is that some schools are even using AI in the classroom itself.
Really? How does that work?
Well, there are these AI-powered tutoring systems. They can give each student personalized instruction.
So it's like having your own personal tutor who knows exactly what you need help with.
That's the idea. The AI can track a student's progress, see where they're struggling, and then adjust the lesson to help them. And students can learn at their own pace. It's not about replacing teachers. It's about giving teachers these amazing new tools.
That makes a lot of sense. So the AI is like a teaching assistant, helping teachers focus on the human element of teaching.
Exactly. And it can also help schools figure out which students might need extra help. Like some schools are using AI to analyze data on all their students, and it can help identify students who might be at risk of falling behind.
So it's like an early warning system.
Yeah, exactly. It can help teachers intervene early and provide support before a student gets too lost. It's pretty amazing.
It sounds like AI could really transform education in a positive way.
It definitely has the potential. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool, right?
Yeah.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. We need to be really thoughtful about how we implement AI in education.
So it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the human values that guide how we use it.
Absolutely. Teachers are so important in this. They're not just there to, deliver information. They're mentors, they're guides. They help create this environment where students feel safe to explore, to ask questions, to collaborate.
It's about striking that balance between technology and human interaction, between AI and the human touch.
I think you nailed it. And all of this, it's not just happening at the K-12 level. Universities are also changing things up to get students ready for this AI-powered world.
So what kinds of changes are we seeing in universities?
Well, for one thing, a lot of universities are offering specialized degrees in AI now. Machine learning, data science, those fields are super in demand, and universities are responding to that.
Right. If you want to be an AI expert, you need that specialized training.
Exactly. But it's not just about creating AI experts. Even more traditional fields like business, law, medicine, they're all starting to incorporate AI into their courses.
Because no matter what you do, you're probably going to have to interact with AI in some way.
Exactly. It's becoming a core competency. And universities are also playing a huge role in actually advancing the field of AI, doing research, creating new technologies.
So it's like a two-way street. Universities are preparing students for the AI-powered world, but they're also helping to shape what that world looks like.
Exactly. It's a really exciting time to be in education, even though it's also really challenging.
I bet. Okay, so as we wrap up this whole deep dive, what are the big things you want our listeners to remember?
Well, I think the main thing is to remember that change is going to happen. It's inevitable. AI is a powerful force, and it's going to disrupt industries, create new opportunities, and challenge us to think differently about a lot of things.
So don't be afraid of it. Try to understand it and be ready to adapt.
Exactly. Stay informed, be proactive, keep learning new things. The future belongs to those who can roll the punches and embrace change.
Love that. So don't just sit back and wait for the future to happen. Get out there, learn, and help create the future you want to see.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's what I find so fascinating about this whole AI thing. It's not just about the technology. It's about the human choices we make as we figure out how to live with this technology and use it for good.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into AI, Apple, and Elon Musk's vision for the future.
It's been a really interesting conversation. We've covered a lot of ground, from the potential benefits and challenges of AI, to the changes happening in the tech industry, to the crucial role of education.
Yeah, and I think we've managed to do it without getting too technical.
That was the goal. We wanted to make these complex ideas accessible and engaging for everyone.
I think we did a pretty good job, and I hope our listeners feel, inspired to keep learning about these things.
Me too. Because the future of AI, it's not something that's going to be decided by algorithms. It's something we decide, all of us, together.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
And until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.